Hello, human peoples. You're listening to the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. To support us and gain access to great exclusive podcasts like Fox Mulder is a Maniac, Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Star Trek The Next Futurama, and our latest show, Spiel Boys, head over to patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. We do game streaming, movie nights with our patrons every Friday night, and you can even commission your own podcast about anything you want. Literally anything, within reason, and we have to do it. You are quite frankly out of excuses not to go visit patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.
I'm off today. It's a rainy day. I'm relaxed, you know?
Yeah, I'm feeling low energy for Cocaine Bear, too.
Yeah. Should have done some cocaine.
Should have fought a bear.
That would have. Hi, everybody. My name is David Bell.
And my name is Robert Cocaine Brockway.
Oh, yeah, and we just watched Cocaine Bear. You know, in the gay community, I believe we're known as cocaine bears.
Medic!
Oh, Jesus. What is that?
Beth, we should go.
Yeah, I brought a Coke and a bear to the podcast today, but neither are what you expect.
Listen, Robert, thank you for being on here. Thank you so much. I appreciate getting you to join me on this discovery of Cocaine Bear. And before we get started, is there anything you want to tell the world? It can be a plug. It can just be like a series of noises.
I'll make a series of noises that turn into a plug.
All right.
I'm plugging always 1-900hotdog.com. That's where me and Internet's Sean Baby and Lydia Bug and many others write comedy. I know, it's crazy. People still do that. I think it's pretty much just us. I think we're the last like fortress against the collapse of civilization here.
Yes.
But we're still doing it. We're still writing comedy, and we've got a podcast called The Dog Zone 9000. 2 G's, 2 Z's, 3 zeros. No bullshit. Now, there's so much bullshit. That's a total lie. It's all bullshit.
Tons of bullshit.
And that's it.
Right on. Yeah, I was just listening to your the Corey Feldman one.
Yeah, the Corey Feldman one was good, but it was rough. It was a hard one.
Yeah. Well, it's fun. It's fun to listen to. It seems rough for you guys, but you know, it's a breeze. It's you know how it is. It's your pain is our entertainment.
Yeah, there was a minor revolt because we also do a bonus episode of the podcast only for our patrons on Discord. You got to sign up for. But we do a bonus podcast, and there's a little break between. And I was so sure that it was going to be more Corey Feldman because Sean has so much Corey Feldman shit. He has like books by him. I knew it was going to be that, and I was drawing the line. I was like, I'm not going to do more Corey Feldman shit. It's like he was promising me. No, it's not. I promise. I wouldn't do that to you, and I would not believe him. And we had like a little fight. But he went ahead, and it was not. He was wise to not inflict further Corey. It was like 2 hours of Corey Feldman, which is way too much.
It's like doing an Ed Gein podcast. It's hard on the soul, you know.
Yeah, it's rough. Like it's not for anybody listening to this that has not listened to that episode. It's not like, oh, I can't believe how awkward that guy is. Like, no, he's a very bad person. It's about like his sex cult that he started and how he exploits these. He's like, some of it's goofy and his music is terrible, which is, you know, hard to there's a lot of crimes. We had to talk about a lot of crimes.
That feels like a par for the course for cult people. Where like there's always a silliness and then there's a darkness.
Yeah.
So people should check it out. But we're not here to talk about that Cocaine Bear. We're here to talk about this Cocaine Bear, which is the Elizabeth Banks directed Cocaine Bear. It's a nice 95 minutes. It is a horror comedy. What did you think about this movie, Cocaine Bear?
I loved Cocaine Bear. I really dug it. I don't know how universal that experience is going to be. We'll have to dig into it, but it's for me. It was made for me and people like me.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same thing. I noted that it was 95 minutes, and that's honestly a big part of me liking it, is that this movie knew what it needed to be, and it was that thing. And I went and saw it. It's raining like mad in LA. I went out. It was a nice little rainy day adventure, seeing Cocaine Bear, just having a pleasant time, you know? Just really enjoying my experience with this movie about a bear just killing a lot of people.
Yeah, it's not going to change your life or anything, but it was a good time. Like, I have this local theater by me that it's always empty, which is great for me because I don't like being around a lot of people. But Parkade Theater in Parkade Cinemas in Manchester, if anybody's around it, is the best goddamn theater I have ever seen. It's been perfectly maintained since I want to say like 1985, but never updated. So the whole interior of the theater and like the whole vibe is very 1985, which is when this movie takes place. So it was perfect.
Just like this movie, it knows exactly what it wants, what people want it to be.
Yeah, it's maybe not for everybody, but what it does, it executes on just perfectly.
Right. This is the type of movie where my initial thought was for people to say like, you can watch it on streaming, it's fine. But I kind of want people to see it in theaters just because I want movies like this to succeed more with the current like movie landscape, which is that this is just kind of a grotesque comedy. And when I say like there should be more movies like this, I do want to make it clear. I don't know. I don't know about you, but I don't necessarily want this to be followed by a bunch of movies of animals combined with drugs. You know what I mean?
Heroin Shark. It's Heroin Shark. He's real tired.
He just floats there.
He's real sad. He's not as much fun. It's more of a think piece, this one.
Holy shit, I really want Heroin Shark now. He just robs people.
They're already making Meth Gator, the asylum one. So I saw this and I immediately thought, oh no, this is the new like Sharknado, that you found like a formula and you're going to drive it into the dirt, because we're going to get every apex predator on every kind of drug before Asylum is done. Right.
And yeah, my thought is like, we're done. We're good. We have Cocaine Bear. You mentioned Sharknado, and I think Sharknado is going to be thought of a lot with this movie, but do you agree with me that this doesn't feel like a Sharknado?
Oh, no. Sharknado's the Asylum thing. Sharknado's the ripoff of this. Like, it starts with a quality, thing to rip off, and then they go nuts making, ridiculous to the extremes. No, this was done very well. This was executed very well. It was written very well, again, for what it was, and directed very well for what it was. And
for sure.
I want to go out and I'll say what it was. What it was a creature feature from 1995 to 2003. Like, yeah, it is absolutely of that era.
I want to talk about that. Yeah, first of all, great cast. Absolutely great cast. It got what's his name? Isaiah Whitlock from The Wire. Kerry Russell's there. O'Shea Jackson, Ray Liotta, of course, and many more. I thought the kids did good. I thought I was really scared from the trailer that the humor was going to be really winky, like really like, can you believe it? And it wasn't nearly as much as I thought it was going to be.
It's a little winky.
It's a little bit, but it's not as bad as I thought. And I definitely want to talk about the tone of this movie and what it's trying to be. Because you mentioned, like a 90s movie. My only problem with that is that genre. Are you thinking of like Lake Placid, Deep Blue Sea?
I was actually thinking of Deep Rising was what it reminded me of.
Oh, yeah.
Like just not in terms of subject matter, but in terms of like structure and specifically pacing, the way they pace, like between where it swings from horror to comedy. And then every time it gets wrapped up in the human stories. And then every time that seems to come to like kind of a stall, here's the thing. Whatever the thing is, whether it's the big octopus, whether it's the bear doing cocaine, you get just enough of the human stuff that when it flags, you hit with a new development in like the creature. So that to me is like the epitome. Deep Rising is the epitome of like 95 to early 2000s sometimes creature features, which I love. I mean, if only for nostalgia's sake for me.
For sure. I just feel like that genre takes itself more seriously than this movie. But I haven't seen Deep Rising in a minute. So
Watch Deep Rising. Oh, it's so good.
Oh, I will. I will immediately after this. I mean, it's a terrific movie.
It's a treat, Williams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I guess I'm glad we're making this distinction instead of Sharknado, because I do think there's a question of like, what makes this not Sharknado? I think the first thing is that it actually has gore, even though the gore is often used kind of as a punchline, I would say. Like, would you agree with that, where it's like it has a little bit of horror elements, but this feels mostly like a comedy to me, like a gross comedy.
Yeah, I would say it leans a little more on the comedy, but there were plenty of moments where they used gore to be shocking and to like sell a horror moment. And I think they were I was surprised that they were effective at that.
Oh yeah, I wasn't expecting it to actually be this gory. It's not
to be as brutal
hugely
as it was,
gory,
yeah.
but there's definitely like I don't know. There's definitely like when the guy is hunted in the tree, it's almost like him falling for the tree is like a punchline. You know what I mean? Where the gore is still kind of set up like a punchline. Where,
yeah, it's used. I mean, that's used as a punchline when it like specifically the moment. I know what you're talking about when his corpse falls out of the tree, which this movie as a punchline uses a corpse falling out of a tree, which is great, and it works. Yeah. It lands. It got a laugh in the theater I was in.
100%.
But the scene right before it works because the scene right before it was actually really brutal. Like it was just that guy being horrifically mauled, and there was no joke to it. It was an awful scenario. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that they did that. I'm very happy that this didn't shy away from. Yeah,
it went hard. It went hard gore. From the start. Like I was immediately. I had a picture of what this movie was going to be in my mind, or at least what I was afraid it was going to be.
Yes, I had a lot of fears.
Yeah, I went into it very reticent. I was thinking, this is going to be. They're going to try to either be way too jokey or they're going to try to be like this is a true story. They're going to lean into that a little too much. Right. And either way wouldn't have been right. Like it would have been boring or it would have been just cringeworthy. And
yeah.
But it goes hard from the start. Like in a way, the kids. It has 2 13-year-olds just eating mouthfuls of cocaine at the start. And you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
We're
that's
doing
what did
this.
it for me. That was the part where I was like, "Oh yes, thank you, movie." Like that's okay. We don't have to get into the plot too much because I think people know the plot from the trailer. But
the bear does cocaine is the plot.
Yeah, I love how it starts with this fucking. The guy is the epitome of a guy who would have bags of cocaine on this plane, like throwing them off the plane while doing like a little dance,
doing a little dance karate specifically, which is great. It's exactly what he would do.
And then he goes to jump off and knocks himself out. So this is based off of true story. The only true part of the story is that this man existed and died, from what I read, and that a bear ate a bunch of cocaine and immediately died.
Yeah, the real story. I love that the real story. That Cocaine Bear is this amazing adventure of a bear that does cocaine, and then you're like, based on a true story, and then you go to see the true story, and it just died.
It's a lot more like what Heroin Shark would be. Yeah,
it was Heroin Shark.
I just love that this is a guy with like maybe a family and a whole life, and this is how he's immortalized. And I would want to be immortalized this way.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know if he'd mind being like a 1985 cocaine smuggler, at least, if not, dealer.
Who just knocks himself out. And
you'd be a legend. I mean, he is a legend.
Yeah, he is. And so, all this cocaine gets thrown in the mountains. Is it Tennessee? I want to say it's Georgia. He lands.
I think it's across like several borders because we see a bunch of Mississippi license plates, but then it starts in Tennessee. I think it's probably. I think you're probably right that it's Georgia.
Yeah, and so it's basically several people who just happen to be in this woods while the bear ate cocaine. But the main plot, or there's two kind of is. This mom who goes looking for her kids who find the cocaine, who are talking about who eat the cocaine, and are just it is a great idea. Is 2 kids who are now on cocaine having the most terrifying thing happen to them,
which is to meet a bear that is also on cocaine.
Yeah, exactly. It's beautiful. And then there's the other plot, which is the O'Shea Jackson and Han Solo, and they're like drug dealers. One of them he's just lost his wife, I want to say, he is like extremely sad. And so like there's an arc forming here basically, which I liked, which is why this isn't Sharknado to me, is that there's actually like some like there's enough here for the characters that they knew to make like an actual movie.
Yeah,
It's not just like a love story
balance.
or something.
There's a great balance there, and I think that's why I think that it's how they use the cocaine bear that like keeps it going, which is that they have it as a device and they remember it, and I guess that's what I was afraid they wouldn't do.
Yes.
Which is every time one of their scenes gets to the point where it's a logical wrap up, instead of when we just cut away or whatever, it can be punctuated with cocaine bear, and often it is, at least often enough to keep the movie moving, which is
for sure
all I really ask.
Oh yeah, I guess what I want to okay, so I have a question. Did you know who was going to die while watching this?
At first, absolutely not, because they set up a lot of colorful characters that you're like, oh, okay, I get where we're going with this, and then butcher them horribly.
Yes,
like, okay.
That's what I wanted to mention. Is I thought that was very cool of them that like the Ranger and stuff, they introduced like these romantic arcs that then just they cut them off.
Yeah, they're just brutally mauled to death by a cocaine bear. Like I thought that was our main posse for like that plot arc, the mom's plot arc. That was going to be the Ranger and her love interest. She's the third wheel, and we're going to go out there. But no, they're just, I guess we're going into spoilers. They're just brutally killed almost immediately. But after a good amount of setup to where you're like, okay, I'd like to see where these characters go. They go straight to the grave is the answer. They go straight to...
Yeah. Spoilers across the board. Like I would say the formula is like you have that first couple at the beginning, right? And they die. That's like the equivalent of the woman at the beginning of Jaws, right?
Yeah, it's your cold open kill. That's
right.
Fine.
And so what kind of made this magical is then you introduce the Ranger and you think, oh, is this our Chief Brody? So it's the equivalent of if Brody just got horribly, because they do this thing also where she gets mauled a few times. She survives. And so you think like, oh, okay, this is going to be a major character. And then she dies so unceremoniously by splattering on the road.
She dies many times. You're like, oh, okay, she's dead. No, she's still back. Yeah. And you're sure that those teases mean this is one of our main characters. But then no, she just gets splattered like halfway through the movie.
Right, which I do wish like the trailer kind of spoiled that one because they show the ambulance chase, but like without that was pretty fun. It was a fun idea. Like I like this idea of a bunch of characters sort of all like coming to this park for different reasons, and it all intersecting. My favorite arc is of course the cop who just has a dog that he doesn't want. Like he orders a dog and it's like a little Shih Tzu, and his arc is basically like, I don't really want this dog. This dog is disappointing. And then he like sort of warms up to the dog when he has someone babysit it, and then he dies. And that's his journey.
He dies thinking about the dog.
Yeah.
How much he was actually really liked that dog. You're like, that's a good arc for a cocaine bear. That's enough.
Yeah. And then the dog goes to the guy who's like the criminal who's heartbroken.
I liked the inclusion of somebody very, very sad. Because that's the opposite of what you would think would belong in this movie. Is like, cocaine bear, he has an enemy. Who is it? It's somebody that's real, real sad.
Yeah, he's just like depressed in a very realistic way because he lost someone close to him.
And like it doesn't get fixed. He stays sad throughout the movie. Like he's sad and he has to fight Cocaine Bear.
Right. No, they had a lot of fun with that. I guess so. It's tough because I do think this movie should have been 90 minutes, right? Like that's a good instinct for them. But I kind of want more Cocaine Bear, and I don't want to do that at the expense of like I liked the thing where like so going through the plot they basically so every the kids are going into the this mountain with the Cocaine Bear. The mother goes after him. The ranger's looking for them. She has another ranger that she really wants to fuck. That this mom is clearly like ruining the mood. Meanwhile, these drug dealers are going because Ray Liotta, the head drug dealer, is like, you have to get that cocaine back. They're going to kill us. So this O'Shea Jackson, who's still like gung ho. And then we have, I don't know the actor's name, Han Solo. He's Han Solo, not Harrison Ford though. The other one. He's the one who's like, his heart's not really into it anymore. And so they go to find the drugs, and sure enough, Ray Liotta falls behind when he doesn't feel like they're getting the job done. And so like, oh yeah, and then they run into like 3 dirtbag kids in the bathroom, and they have a fight. And like, I love the thing where O'Shea Jackson just keeps getting stabbed or hurt in some sort of stupid way. At one point, he gets his fingers shot off, but they're like weirdly not next to each other, which I liked.
Yeah, it's the little moments like that landed the comedy more than like the big punchlines. Was just when he reaches for his gun and he gets his fingers shot off, and he looks at his hand, and it's like 2 fingers that aren't adjacent, and everybody has to stop and be like, but why those 2 fingers? How did that happen? That's such a great moment to pause and appreciate. And the movie's full of just little things like that I think it's a dumb movie, it's a B movie, and it is done by people that actually love dumb movies and B movies in a smart and solid way.
Mm-hmm. Now, I do have some notes, some I wouldn't call them criticisms.
We have a little feedback for
feedback.
Cocaine Bear.
Do you have feedback? Do you have feedback on this movie?
Yeah, but I'm so of 2 minds of it. Like I thought the pacing was great, and that they used, like I've said, that they used Cocaine Bear really well to move things along. But and it's totally within the guidelines of like 90s to early 2000s B-movie creature features to have a set of rules that go with it. To have like, here's the creature, here is what the creature wants, here is the creature's weakness, here is the creature's superpower, and you gotta like balance that and manipulate those things. And it's very elegant that in Cocaine Bear all of those things are cocaine. Like the bear wants cocaine.
It's spinach too.
Yeah, the bear wants cocaine. The bear is definitely superpowered, just overclocked bear by the cocaine.
Yes.
But it's also the bear's weakness because it really wants the cocaine and will drop anything else to go get more cocaine, and you can knock it out with enough cocaine. But like, it gets a little repetitive that you always know, well, you have one of 3 things that's going to happen. They're all cocaine. All 3 things that can happen at the end of this scene are cocaine based. And so it gets like, I could have used a little more variety.
Right. Like I was saying, I want more bear, but I think this is the reason why there wasn't, and why they focused on like, because there's other drama in this, right? There's like a few standoffs. There's a few like non sequitur fights between the characters. And it's all kind of just, you're waiting for Cocaine Bear to show up. But you're right, is that like, okay, you have this bear and cocaine. What more can you do, right? And
Cocaine Bear does a lot of cocaine. Like
does a lot of cocaine.
If you, like me, were going into Cocaine Bear worried that the bear would only do a small amount of cocaine, or maybe only do cocaine once, this bear does cocaine so much throughout the entire movie.
Yeah, it does a lot of cocaine.
Just eats kilos and kilos of cocaine, and each time it gets fucking super powered and just Popeyes through that forest.
There was a promise that happens in the cold open that I wish they kind of stuck to a little more, because I don't think they did nearly enough, which is the first, it's the, like we said, this couple getting eaten, or rather one of them gets eaten by the cocaine bear, and then they have the bear pop into frame, and it's covered in blood, and it roars, and it says Cocaine Bear, and then it sees a butterfly, and like kind of gets distracted by the butterfly. And I honestly thought there was going to be more of that, and what I mean by that is that the bear is on cocaine, so therefore the bear, like I wanted it to be more erratic. Like honestly, in a way that might, like if you had done this as a horror movie more, would be kind of freaky, where it's the idea that the bear is truly unpredictable in a way where you like, you don't know if it's going to kill you or not. And they do it in one scene, the scene where it passes out on the guy.
Yeah,
but
they do it
generally
a couple times. They do it where the bear passes out on the guy, and before that, when it first or maybe after that when they give it the cocaine, it does this adorable like back scoot, like it just gets on so much cocaine that it starts scooting on its back towards them.
Yeah, like
and that's
Baloo.
like that was a really good moment where it was adorable, but it was also like, oh shit, you need to get away.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, yeah, I could have used more of that. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I think what we're circling, because I have another note on this, but I think it's circling the same thing, which is, again, we liked this film. I definitely like this film. It's that the premise is kind of a challenge. And I think it's mainly a challenge when they also, I'm guessing, did not have much of a budget. I haven't looked up the budget, but I have to assume they didn't, like a studio isn't going to spend that much money on Cocaine Bear. Like it looked fine, but it definitely, like even the bear itself, it's like we're not getting fucking top of the line, right?
Yeah, the bear is CGI, and it's fine. It didn't take me out of it. Like they did a good enough job that you're like,
oh yeah, and it should be CGI. Yeah. I don't want them getting a real bear involved. Its budget was 30 to 35 million.
That's more than I thought. But I guess the CGI would take a really good chunk of that, because the bear. That's another worry I had going into it. Is often you get a premise like this, and then you don't have the budget or just the means to get the bear in there very often. Right. So it's, overpromised. But the bear is there throughout the movie, and it does so much cocaine. You guys, so much. It
definitely does cocaine. That's I think we can be sure about that. And the audience, the people listening, can rest assured there will be cocaine being. That's like I expected a bear to do cocaine. As we mentioned, I didn't expect children to do cocaine, and I can't express how delightful that is.
Yeah,
I wish
having
more
that
kids
scene
did cocaine.
So early lets you know that like the rules you think are going to happen. This is not that kind of movie,
right?
Like when they actually do it.
Yeah. Here's my note. My main note. Ooh, sorry. I just thought of another note, but this is not the movie's fault. Neither of these notes are the movie's fault. Because of the budget, I think they firmly needed to be in the woods. I think they didn't have much for locations. And I think what we were talking about with the repetitiveness, my big note is that it never really escalates the film. Like you think of these creature features we were talking about. They always have to kind of escalate to some extent, right?
Yeah.
And so the way this ends, and the other thing that they did, and I know why they did this, is by the time you get to the halfway point, you realize the star of the movie is the cocaine bear, right? That's the protagonist. And so you realize pretty quickly, like, this bear isn't going to die. And in fact, when they do a fake out of the bear dying, the audience I was in was like, oh no, like no one wanted the bear to die. And they knew that.
Yeah, they give the bear very skillfully. They give the bear just enough moments of like cuteness. Of like the back scooch thing, which is both terrifying and cute. And then they also gave it like, there's a scene where she's the ranger that gets, that dies about halfway through, is like hiding in her ranger shack, and she thinks the bear is outside, and it's the bear outside, and she has this other guy, one of the dirtbag kids, open the door, and then Cocaine Bear's there, but it's just like sitting on its back in a kind of Winnie the Pooh way, and it's got, I want to say, it's sort of a bear smile on its face. Like, it's not there to kill them. It's just like, I want the cocaine that's in there.
Right.
What are we doing here? And that's a very adorable moment that you realize, well, maybe not, you don't realize it at the moment, that like, this has endeared the bear to me.
Yeah. They wanted us to love the bear. And then they introduced that the bear has cubs. And the moment the cubs show up, like, okay, the bear's not dying. The bear's the hero. Yeah,
they did that big musical swell when you're supposed to think the bear died, and the kids are like, the kids are Lion King style, just, no, my cocaine bear mother. But also the cubs are way into cocaine.
Yes, you're right. There's actually more than 2 kids do cocaine in this, if you count the bear cubs.
Yeah, the bear kids, all the kids in this movie, every child in this movie does cocaine.
It's amazing. I love that. So what I'm getting at is, because the bear isn't supposed to be the villain, they make Ray Liotta the villain, and he's oddly insistent on getting the cocaine to the point that he's pointing guns at everybody. and then the bear sort of comes at the end as the hero, and the big like climactic scene is just that like Carrie Russell and the kids have to jump into the water with the drug dealers, and then Ray Liotta gets eaten alive, and it's satisfying. But I do feel like it should have escalated more, and I do feel like part of the problem is that because the cocaine bear had to be, and for I agree with this, couldn't die and couldn't really be the villain. I think they missed out on an opportunity for the characters to sort of bond a little more. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of wanted this to be like a Riddick or something like that, where it's a group of strangers who are all from different walks of life. Like, I wanted to see like Ray Liotta protecting these kids or bonding. You know what I mean? Where it's like these dirtbags and this woman and these kids all having to like deal with the cocaine bear.
They don't really.
The cop, and like there could have been a little more there.
They don't really connect up. Like their storylines, they're just never even really in the same place that often or for that long.
Yeah,
they are very. They have all of these arcs and they run just fine. But yeah, they don't. They do intersect, but they don't intersect for very long. And when they are, they just don't. They don't interact very much.
Yeah, I was waiting for something there because they're setting up stuff where the kids do cocaine and then they feel guilty about it, and then they're going to meet these other cocaine people, and like I thought there'd be an interesting connection there or something. And on top of that, I just thought it would escalate more. One idea being that it would be amazing, I think, is in order to fight a cocaine bear, you have to become a cocaine bear, and they have a character who also starts doing cocaine to fight off the cocaine bear.
Yeah, I had that same thought of like somebody, like as soon as you saw the bear doing so much cocaine and then there were drug dealers in there, I thought the sad guy was going to get way amped on coke and like just go fucking ham on the bear. Like,
right,
you must become the bear.
I think there's a way to do that without like without killing the bear. And in fact, why not end it with him living with the bear? Like, because that's the other thing is I think this movie is so fucking, it's weird that like I wouldn't have cared if it got borderline abstract or surreal with its plot. Like I wouldn't have minded it going completely off the rails.
Yeah, and which they did. I mean, it went completely off the rails from the story because the story is bear does cocaine, dies.
Yeah, the story is off the rails.
So if we're already this far from reality, yeah, it's probably fine.
Yeah, I just like my note for it was like, I wish there was like it went up another notch. And like ways to do that is you think about monster movies and how those handle it. So like Lake Placid, they introduce a second gator. Not well. That movie is not good. Deep Blue Sea, they get to the surface and there's multiple sharks they're dealing with there. Jaws, like the boat sinking, new complications. I think I just needed like if a second cocaine bear showed up.
Yeah, that's
or like
what I was just
thinking. Yeah, or a cocaine mountain lion that like cocaine bear then has to fight. It becomes like a Godzilla situation where suddenly we like cocaine bear because cocaine mountain lion is terrible.
Well, save something for the sequel. Writing all of this down.
Yeah,
I know what you mean, and that's kind of what I expected when they were going in the cave, and they, when they first saw that there's something moving there, and they see the bag. I was like, oh shit, this is a whole like pack of cocaine bears. Yeah. And then it was just the cubs, which it's an escalation in a way, in that if you're near a bear's cubs, it's even more serious. But I would argue it was already fully escalated, like, because now if you're near cocaine bear is going to kill you anyway. It doesn't matter that the cubs are there for the human characters. That doesn't escalate stakes for them.
Right.
Because the stakes were already like, if that bear sees us, we're going to fucking die.
Right, exactly. Yeah, the cubs don't make it. Like, yeah, it's a little more angry because you're fucking with its cubs. And I know they brought that in so that, like, I think they did that so that Ray Liotta could distract. Like, once the Ray Liotta is shitty to the bear, you know exactly what's going to happen.
I think it was just to sell that yes, in case you haven't gotten it by now, the bear is your main character. You should be rooting for the bear. Like, that's... Yes. I think everybody got it, but if you hadn't, when the Cubs show up, you're like, okay, yeah, I get who I'm rooting for now.
Yeah. It's like Jason Voorhees or any other slasher.
It's like Friday the 13th. If we went back to Jason's cabin, there were a bunch of little Jasons there. You're like,
yeah. Oh,
little babies.
he pooped those out.
Little
I mean,
tiny,
that-
like
well,
3-inch machetes.
he has his mother's head. That's the same way where you're like, oh, it's got that his mother corpse.
He loves his mom, just like me.
Yeah. But yeah, that's my general if it meant tacking on another 10 minutes, so be it to this film, because I just think it needed one more beat. One more escalation.
I don't necessarily agree that it needed one more beat, one more escalation. I just think it escalated. It didn't escalate in the right way or quite enough, because it starts off at maximum cocaine. Like the bear, the very first time you see the bear, it's on as much cocaine as it will be, arguably more. Because when you first see the bear, it doesn't just kill the hikers. They're watching it, and it's getting really into like scratching a tree and rubbing itself. And they're like, oh, how cute. And then it goes to the other tree and just starts fucking headbutting it until it starts bleeding. And they're like, oh shit.
Right.
And so the bear is already like on so much coke. That's the most coke the bear is going to be on. It will never be on more coke than that throughout the movie. So it would have been interesting to like see just the threat of a bear, to see the threat of the bear like when it first gets the cocaine, to see the bear get like addicted to the cocaine, to realize that moment of like, oh shit, that bear wants this cocaine that I'm holding right now. But the bear has already established all of that before we even open the movie. The bear is fully coked out. And I think if you started and showed us that moment, those few moments as it escalates, that by the halfway point, you can have the bear fully coked out. You can still have all these huge set pieces and crazy antics and have felt like you built something a little more.
I can see what you're saying. I got a pitch for you, though. All right. What if we did a Lost World ending? And what I mean by that is like they get away from the bear, and in fact, they recover, like the cops recover the cocaine or something. And then we cut to the city, and they got the cocaine in the lockup, and guess who shows up for the cocaine? But I don't think they had the budget for that. Like, I guarantee that was actually even might have been something they considered. Yeah, you're right. But like, you know what I mean? Where it's like, I do still think there could have been a beat where like they're in town and like there's just a massacre of this fucking bear. I guess the problem is the more you raise the stakes, the more guns are around like that, and then the bear isn't really that much of a problem if everybody.
Well, that's why you need a family of cocaine bears, which is set up. It is set up for there to be legacy generational cocaine bears coming 100%. Along. So there could be in a sequel like it. I would love it if it went to the city and realized that it's like 1985 and fucking cocaine is everywhere. Like it doesn't even have to go to the lockup. Like there's just every bar, every disco, every like they're back in an alley.
Cocaine Bear goes to Hollywood. That's what the sequel should be.
Cocaine Bears. Cocaine Bears go to Hollywood.
Yeah. Yeah, do the aliens method, just cocaine bears. Yeah,
just more. Yeah. More, and you gotta go somewhere where their source of power is.
Yeah.
That's how you escalate. Elizabeth Banks, you did a great job, but if you need us.
Right, we're here. we're here if you need cocaine bears. No, this but despite all this was a delight. It really was.
Yeah, I loved the ending. I loved that it set up, that it paid off all of these things, and then okay, I should amend this. I loved the first ending because this movie ends like 5 times. But true. the first ending where we just cut, we wrap up all the human arcs, and then we cut to Cocaine Bear just like writhing on a rock with its cubs.
Oh yeah.
You're like, oh, is it just like hanging out? But then it starts writhing in a way that you're like, oh no, this bear is still fucked. And then kind of looks at the people that are recording it. You're like, yeah, that bear's got some. I love the implication that the bear has stashed cocaine. It is now budgeting cocaine.
Right, because they end with like, to this day, no one has found the cocaine.
Yeah, the ending text scroll is like, no cocaine was ever recovered. And then they show the bear still being a fucking total freak. So the implication is the bear has found all of the cocaine and is like dishing it out carefully, just doing a line or two, to keep the shakes at bay.
Yeah.
Raising the kids on the cocaine, because it's implied the kids are all coked out too when they're a little more grown up.
And they are going to need more cocaine eventually.
Eventually, even with the careful stockpiling that bear is doing, it's going to run out of coke someday.
100%. That's the problem with cocaine. That Like that's why you do, like you really shouldn't do cocaine because you're gonna run out of it, and then you need to get more, and it's a whole problem, you know.
Be
Unless you're
out
rich,
there sucking dick for coke.
do tons of
only
cocaine
it's
if
a
you're
bear.
rich.
Nobody wants that.
Yeah, but like holy shit, now I really want like Hollywood Hills cocaine bears.
Yeah, go somewhere where there's just cocaine fucking everywhere rather than
Still in the 80s. Oh man.
Yeah, this has to be in the 80s.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, this is based off a story from the 80s, but it's also a perfect time to set this. I forgot about the post-credit stuff because they like follow that one of the teen dirtbags, and I was like, I don't care about this character.
Yeah, I forgot that guy existed. We're done.
Yeah.
We're done with that guy.
Yeah. No
like
need.
you could have made me care a little more about the dirtbag teens. That could have been an interesting foil to a few things. So maybe they were taken out of the equation a little too early, but also for him to survive to the end. And there was, what were there, like 3 post-credits scenes? I was like, okay.
Right. I was
Cocaine
like,
Bear.
I was like, I have to pee. Like, can you stop? You're
Also,
not
I don't think you earned like legacy endings. I don't think we need to follow the closure of this. Like, it's a movie set in the 80s. It's going kind of 80s style. Just do the text scroll. Give me he went on to become a lawyer.
Right. Yeah, freeze frame text scroll. That would have been pretty cool.
Freeze frame text updates is the way to go on that.
Yeah. That's the one thing. This isn't shot like an 80s movie, but it's also not trying to be. It just takes place in the 80s, and I think it captured the 80s well enough. I like the Ray Liotta in that weird mall food court, and I love that he just hates the kid he's looking after as well.
It's kind of a theme. Like everybody seems to kind of hate
kids.
the people that they are supposed to care for.
Right.
Like he hates his own kid, and he hates like his kid's kid. And then the father, his kid, Ray Liotta's kid, is the very sad man whose wife has died. And it's established early that he hasn't seen his own child in weeks because he just like can't bear to deal with it. So I think Cocaine Bear. This is another note. I think Cocaine Bear is trying to set up some some thematic like things.
You're right.
that I don't think it got to.
No, because he never goes back to his kid, does he?
Yeah,
he just gets the dog.
He gets the dog, and you're like, wait, but you had a kid. You were supposed to go back to the kid. Like we fucked up the whole theme here.
That is really weird.
Somebody tried to use Cocaine Bear to like talk about grief or something, or like, no. I
get the vibe that, again, for budget reasons or whatnot, like I just get the vibe that this is different than the script, and it's not anybody's fault necessarily. Because again, I do think it might have escalated more at the end too. Like it just, if whoever's writing this, they're not gonna. I think they made cuts based off their budget and time. Like
I think there was a lot of studio notes that were I mean maybe fair because you have to have this fucking CGI bear in every scene. So
right, and Elizabeth Banks in interviews was saying like this could end my career, and I think that's hyperbole, but I think she's probably saying that because the studio was probably a nightmare to her while she was making this, and she got that feeling of like, Jesus, they're really concerned. And so I wouldn't be surprised if they did a lot of cuts and like they got really concerned about like, why are we showing kids do cocaine? We can't have that,
Imagine having to fight. I would argue you're right to fight for that scene, but imagine having to fight for that scene because that happened.
But that scene alone is why I'm like, we need more of this. Like this movie's not, again, it's not amazing. I had a lot of fun watching it. It's chill. I'll watch it again. It's a fun movie. It's just that to have a movie that does something like that, that's weird and like, you probably had to fight for. It's these kids doing cocaine, good direction for film. As someone who hopes to write movies myself, it's like, let's do weird. Let's do weird and dark. Let's explore ideas that studios are uncomfortable with. Because we've gotten to a point where studios have more power, I would say, than they should. And I do think, this struggled probably because of that reason, but I'm just guessing.
Sir, excuse me. The children need to do cocaine
They need to do cocaine, yes.
Sir, I am walking from this project if those 13-year-old kids do not eat a mouthful of cocaine in the first 10 minutes.
And let me tell you another thing. On set, real cocaine. it has to be
All the way
real
through.
cocaine.
That was
would
Ray
be amazing.
Liotta. Ray Liotta was on set. He
Yeah.
would not stand for it. He brought it.
He brought the cocaine.
He's like,
It'd
I
be
got all that
amazing.
cocaine you need. And they're like, holy shit, Ray Liotta. We were going to use powder. And he was like, yeah, I know you were going to use fucking powder.
That's why I brought this cocaine.
It's Samuel L.
that's
Jackson
amazing.
with snakes on a plane. He's in there like, no, it's called Cocaine Bear. And I'm walking.
Yeah.
Speaking
Holy
of,
shit.
Cocaine Bear, at the very end, it says dedicated to the memory of Ray Liotta, and that's the most appropriate thing I've ever seen. I love Ray
100%.
Liotta. I'm sad he's gone.
Me
He's
too.
fucking great. He's fucking
was-
great in everything.
This was his last film, and I have no notes. Like I'm
No.
like, perfect. Perfect.
I 100% would want to go out like that. If
Yeah.
if I went out and my last film was Cocaine Bear, and the very last scene of Cocaine Bear was dedicated to the memory of Robert
Yep.
Brockway, my fucking ghost would get hard. I would just,
Yes.
I would come back. I would
Oh, he's
come back
getting
to
high
watch it.
fives. He's getting high fives in the afterlife. His last
Yeah.
scene is getting his guts eaten out by bears on cocaine.
by 3 bears on
Yeah.
cocaine.
It's fucking. He's been in the business for how long? Like it's perfect ending. He's done. I'm looking it up. Over 120 films, and Cocaine Bear is
And that's the it's not a period at the end. It's an exclamation point at the end of the
Yep.
sentence. That is Ray Liotta. Fucking Ray Liotta.
Yep. I read that
Start to finish.
the trivia was saying that like literally a week before he died, he was doing like ADR for this movie, and Elizabeth Banks said he liked the look of the Cocaine Bear. That was the last conversation they had.
I love this bear. This
It's
bear
perfect.
ruled. Could you
Yeah.
put my glasses in the movie on the bear?
Yes,
That's the only way. It could get better.
it really is like one of the best uses of Ray Liotta.
It's a shame nobody made this movie earlier in his career so that he could show up in the sequels. Because he would be like the I'm spacing on his name. The guy that keeps showing up in Tremors when none of the rest of the cast does.
Fuck! I watched all the Tremors, and I need to remember his name.
Yeah,
He plays
I
Bert.
did too. Yeah, but I'm blanking on the actor's name.
Is it
Anyway,
Michael Gross? I want to say that's his.
he would be that guy. If this was 20 years ago, Ray Liotta would at least show up to take a quick role in each to like tie the Cocaine Bear universe together.
Yeah, I was right. It's Michael Gross. He would be the guy who does the cocaine to fight the Cocaine Bear. Like he would, like of course he would, right?
Yeah. He would have his redemption moment.
You know what? Yeah, you know what we should have had? We should have had a Cocaine Bear every decade of Ray Liotta's career, and he's just it's like real time, just checking in with him. He should be like the Chief Brody, you know, like just always dealing with the Cocaine Bear.
Towards the end, you gotta reconcile with Cocaine Bear. Like just we're the only constant in each other's life. I think I love you, Cocaine Bear.
Yeah, he'd become the Cocaine Bear ultimately. Maybe it could be like I don't know, like there could be time travel. Fuck, they should have time travel.
just within the bear's head, the bear thinks it's time travel. You do enough cocaine, you'll think it's time travel.
That's very true.
I loved one. Okay, here's my last attempt to sell people on the movie using a very small moment.
Okay.
They know exactly what it is. So everybody throughout the movie calls the bear Cocaine Bear like that's its name. Like we've been doing the whole time because you can't help it. Everybody's like, where's Cocaine Bear? Have you seen Cocaine Bear? That's its name. And everybody instantly knows that.
Yeah. I read that this was the working title. And then when there was time to get a real title, they realized there's nothing else to call this.
Do you know how many times they say Cocaine Bear in the movie? I would believe you if you told me none of those were in the script and that every one of the kids and the actors were just where's the Cocaine Bear?
Right.
The line is just where's the bear? But it could be any bear. We're talking about the Cocaine Bear specifically.
Yeah. It's like Poochie, because it's true. Every character is when the Cocaine Bear isn't there, they're like, "Where's Cocaine Bear?"
Where is
because that is the question you'd be asking if you knew there was a Cocaine Bear in the woods.
Yeah. Can't get away from the Cocaine Bear in the room. You got to talk about it.
Gotta keep talking about that Cocaine Bear. Yeah,
But
fun movie.
I would take a lot more movies like this, and I would love go see it in the theater if you're entertaining it. It's not, a
Yeah,
Marvel movie that's going to blast you away with special effects, but it's such a good time. It's such a good time to see.
Yeah, did you see it in a crowded theater? Because the only thing was because it was like flood warnings when I saw it, so no one was fucking in theaters seeing Cocaine Bear in the middle of the afternoon.
No, I got a weird scenario where like this was the first day the theater had it and they hadn't even put it up on the marquee or anything yet, so nobody knew it was there. And still there was 5 or 6 other people in the theater with me who were just like coming out to see something and decided on Cocaine Bear. But yeah, it was the first day, so they hadn't had anything up for it. I hope it does a decent trade, because I think Elizabeth Banks handled this shockingly well, surprisingly well. Like, this was way more competent than I thought, and a way better time.
I want this to beat Ant-Man in its second weekend.
and fucking wonderful.
Yeah, and nothing directly against Ant-Man, a movie I did not care for, but it's more of just like, I want that message to be sent. I want people to know, like, I want Mr. Hollywood to see these numbers and go, okay.
We need to do more Cocaine Bears. I understand. Got it.
Mm-hmm.
I saw the first Ant-Man. I had a good enough time with it, but I was also like, I never need to see anything from that universe again.
Right.
But if competently handled by like Elizabeth Banks and stuff, I would see another Cocaine Bear.
Oh yeah, I want to note, because I saw the Charlie's Angels movie she directed. I thought that was good. I'm looking at her stuff. Apparently, she did Pitch Perfect 2. Did not see. I did at some point see her segment in movie 43 that she directed. Can't tell you anything about it.
Oh no.
But I'm kind of hoping she's like a George Clooney, where we just get a acting and directing career, because the next thing she's doing is called The Greater Good, which is described as a single camera comedy, comedic version of The X-Files. And I'm like, all right, let's do it.
Again, like it's just like with Cocaine Bear. Immediately that fills me with fear, or I'm like, oh, that could be very, very bad if not handled well. But it could be a fucking great time if handled well. And she seems to like and is very good at those tricky concepts. I like that between this and Charlie's Angels, she's choosing, like, honestly, some really weird fucking projects to start off with. What is her passion? What are you
exactly?
What is the guiding moment of your career? What is your goal? Because I can't pin it down.
I think her goal might be just like, I'll direct anything. I'm going to show you I can direct any type of movie, and I'm just going to do it. I want her to do like a horror movie. That would be fun.
I mean, this was halfway to horror.
Oh
like,
yeah,
the horror moments in this sold horror pretty well.
It did. There wasn't many. I would say like even the part where he finds him like in the closet, he still does like the comedic thing where he closes the door after opening it. You know what I mean? Like
that wasn't really a horror moment, but there's a few.
It's to me, it's more like there were horror shots. Like there were parts where I'm like, ooh, that could, you could make a horror sequence out of it. But I'm sure you're like me, where you're so desensitized that it's hard to tell what's scary.
I recognize horror now by the structure more than like the reaction,
right?
And by the intent. Like if they mean for it to be scary and then execute it very well, I'm like, yeah, that's that. Because nothing has scared me, and I'm dead inside. I'm completely dead inside.
Yeah. I hear that. Every now and then something will still freak me out, but generally it's hard. I need to like rent a child and bring them into the horror movies to see like what scares the kid. You know what I mean? So I know.
Yeah, but that would also
scary.
be fun. I got to see more like horror movies in an audience that isn't necessarily horror based. I seeing the reaction is so much fun. Like I don't get scared at all by like horror games anymore. But if I play them and I do save them so that my wife can watch me play, because she can't play them. She's gets too scared.
Oh yeah.
And she'll like jump and react and stuff for me, and then I have this vicarious fun, like somebody like watching a kid on Christmas. Like this does nothing for my dead and withered soul. But if you have a lot of fun, that's something.
You know what's funny is most horror movies, like it's been a very long time since a horror movie has scared me, but they do happen. But horror games, I can't handle. I don't know. I think it's just that I have to interact with it. Like I play the game. For whatever reason, horror games, they've always worked on me. It's
Yeah,
I
no,
feel
those
kind of
went out at the
special.
same time. Got same desensitized. Same with
Yeah.
books. Like I still love it. I'm still like deep in the genre. I watch horror and read horror and play horror games all the time because I just it's kind of comforting to me, and I enjoy watching it executed very well and very skillfully. But it does
Right.
not have that. It hasn't had that visceral reaction on me for many years.
You're gonna keep looking. It's much like doing cocaine. You do you know the first couple times you're having a great time, and then you just find yourself doing it regularly because that's what you do. But you're always looking for that first time. You're always hoping, just
Horror.
up in the amount.
Not even once.
Yeah. Well, shit. I have no more thoughts on Cocaine Bear. What about you?
Yeah, I told my wife before we started doing this podcast, if I can't talk for more than an hour about Cocaine Bear, I can talk for like exactly an hour about Cocaine Bear.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's it.
This is one of those movies where it's like, it was good. I had fun. If I'd ideally not do a podcast about it. I just say to my friends, like, yeah, go see that. That was fun. You know what I mean? Even it felt weird even trying to give it notes because I'm just like, who the fuck am I to give it notes? It's fine. It's
The movie
leave it
wanted you
alone.
to
It's
have a
Cocaine
good
Bear.
time. You had a good time.
Exactly.
The end. It's the end
Yeah.
of the transaction.
Yeah,
Fuck off, says Cocaine Bear.
Exactly. Go home. You enjoyed it. Yeah.
Go home. Don't talk about it.
I saw Cocaine Bear. I went to Trader Joe's. I had a great evening. It was a good time. So Robert, thank you so much for being here. Why don't you make some noises at the end here of something you want to plug or say?
Same thing. Just at the start of this, I plugged 1-900hotdog.com, the final comedy website on the internet, and our podcast, The Dog Zone 9000. And if you're listening to this and that comes as news to you, you didn't go the first time. So this is your chance to correct a terrible mistake.
Boom. Yeah, this is it. Your second chance. Do it.
You only get one shot.
Mm-hmm. I'll quickly just say we have a Patreon. Gamefully Unemployed does. That is patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed, GAMEFULLY, unemployed. We have exclusive podcasts on there like Tom and Jeff Watch Batman and Fox Mulder is a Maniac, Star Trek The Next Futurama, and Spiel Boys. We watch movies every Friday night with our patrons. You go to gamefullyunemployed.com to get our merch store. And, or you could just listen to more of our podcasts. We have tons of podcasts. Too many.
Too many
in a
goddamn
way.
podcasts these days.
Yeah, in general. But, that's why I do so much cocaine. To just
Cocaine
keep
bear!
up.
Got
Yeah,
a cocaine stare, and it's not fair that you gotta face a bear on cocaine.
That was beautiful.
It's been in my head ever since I saw it.